What's up, nerds? Welcome back. So it appears that it was all planned from the beginning. The crazy She-Hulk, the attack on Atlantis, my making fun of this whole storyline. Well, maybe not that third one. So yes, if you will remember, basically what's been going on with the whole Avengers thing is they're having the World War She-Hulk bullshit, where it seems like Jennifer Walters, who's now just going by the Hulk, apparently was captured by the Russians, subjected to a red room, and is now running around as some sort of crazed Red Hulk. And is now, like, conducting an attack on Atlantis, which is actually where we're starting out, with Atlantis kind of, like, having a problem with Namor, their king. Basically trying to, like, come and tell him, like, you've done a shitty job, you should step down and let somebody else, like, take care of this and shit. And he's trying to tell him, like, well, who exactly is going to, like, lead you? Who exactly do you expect to lead you in wartime, if not me? Who else but me? Where he's saying, like, glory lies ahead of us. This I promise you, but only if we stand together and trust in the power of... But they start yelling, saying, lies. Namor's lungs are filled with sugar, more filled with sugar than salt. He said the Phoenix would save us all, but instead it cast him aside, beaten and humiliated. Just like we should. Down with the broken king. Feed him to the bone worms. So he says, and who will rule then, eh? Which of you will spend 7 lifetimes swimming through seas of blood and all of eternity in the lake of fire? That is what it takes to be a king. That is Namor. Who in the name of the gore-bearded Krakens are any of you? So this is when she finally, like, drops in with her, like, face mask and everything, which I'm assuming allows her to breathe. And then we get this whole thing that just basically carries on through the entire issue, where we see these notes coming from Okoye of the Dora Milaje from Wakanda. And she's basically talking about this whole thing, saying, like, the kingdom of the seven seas stands on the brink of violent upheaval. The most powerful Atlantean factions, including the marauding Sea Blades, fundamentalist Octopriests, Namor's own Defenders of the Deep, and the newly unleashed Black Tide, are united only in their open dissatisfaction with the king. An attempted coup seems imminent. Namor's regime is not expected to survive. So this is where he, like, sees, like, oh, a Hulk? Assassin! So he goes to, like, start attacking and shit, and they get into, like, this big old fight or whatever. And so they go on to, Okoye goes on talking about, like, this whole thing seems to have been the plan of the Red Widow from the Winter Guard or whatever the hell, the group from Russia, saying that this was all basically her plan. Stark satellite surveillance indicates Wolf Spider Spetsnaz forces recently removed a warhead from a nuclear weapons storage facility in Okinawa Bay. The warhead is believed to be an enhanced radiation weapon of the late Igor Drenkov's design, a Russian gamma bomb. Total yield, 68 megatons. And so if you remember, the other one who was with Jennifer on this was Gorilla Man, who kind of, like, sold out the team to begin with, so why he has this whole thing going on, but yeah, anyway. So he's here as well, and he's also kind of, like, fighting against some of the, like, the Atlanteans and shit. And Okoye is, like, talking about some of the expected deaths for the Atlanteans and everything, or 98% of the known Atlantean population basically is expected to die. So this is when Red Widow finally shows up and is saying, like, you really do want to die, don't you, Simeon? Well, congratulations, you have convinced me. So Okoye carries on by saying, like, we believe the Gamma detonation will be timed to coincide with the prearranged presence of a scapegoat, one with the established motive and power level to conceivably obliterate Atlantis on their own. The Winter Hulk's true mission is to be a patsy. So apparently that was, like I said, that was the plan all along. Not to really have, like, Winter Hulk show up and just, like, kill everybody. More so to, like, have Winter Hulk be there when they drop this gamma bomb. So that way they say, oh, see, it was her fault. That was what actually happened. Why the Russians have this beef with the Atlanteans, I don't think they actually get into that. Anyway, it goes on saying, like, once Atlantis is destroyed, the condemnation of Jennifer Walters will be swift, unanimous, and global, because as she's fighting here, like, you see other Atlanteans saying, like, how dare she try and take the right and the privilege of killing Namor from us, like that, only we're allowed to kill our king, which, All right, that's pretty fucking metal, so I respect it. Anyway, he goes on fighting with her, and the notes go on saying, like, that includes her home country. There are anti-Avengers forces within the US government standing by to lay blame upon a renegade She-Hulk. I'm sure that there are. It says the Russian operation has been carefully coordinated and is believed to be the brainchild of the Red Widow, who answers directly to the Kremlin. Its ultimate success hinges upon three key variables. One, the volatility of the Atlantean political situation, which has been too greatly inflamed to be easily quelled. Two, the effectiveness of the Red Widow as an assassin and espionage agent, highly skilled in the art of mass murder, of which there is little question. And three, the current mental and physical instability of Jennifer Walters, which over the course of her most recent Avengers tenure has been all too grimly well established. Because as we can see, like, they have this close-up on her eyes where she's looking like completely fucking insane, which, I mean, I guess makes sense considering all of the circumstances. But it says, it is the opinion of these agents that should the Red Widow be able to proceed, we would be looking at a global conflict fought with very few soldiers in the field that nonetheless yields an appallingly high number of civilian casualties. And so we can see here where, I believe is it Gorilla Man or is that Red Shield? Whichever one is like sinking into the bottom saying like, well, I guess I don't really want to die after all. So I'm pretty sure it's Gorilla Man. Anyway, it says, while the world gets reshaped by the whims of a powerful few and a discarded hero is left to deal with the fallout, such tends to be the way of modern world wars. And so will go World War She-Hulk. So this is where she, I guess, finally like regains a little bit of her sanity, and she tells Namor like, evacuate your people, and then she does the whole Avengers Assemble bullshit. So it's basically saying like, we also acknowledge the possibility, however slight, that Jennifer Walters, a former agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and veteran Avenger of multiple tours, someone who has controlled and effectively wielded the gamma powers of a Hulk for many years, while also balancing a successful law career and overcoming personal trauma, knows exactly what she's doing. So apparently, that was the thing all along. Like I said, it was all a plan. They knew that this was going to happen. And so we see this thing where all of a sudden everybody's being attacked by lightning, and they're like, what the hell's going on? Which obviously was Thor. So he shows up to kind of like help out. And then they kind of like file this, what happened, like the thunderstorm underwater as an act of God. So very clever. And then we see also where Ghost Rider shows up. He's saying, this is Ghost Rider. The storm just swept through the Colosseum, and I've got the last of the stragglers. The mob's been cleared. Nothing between you and the Russians. Give them hell, Miss Jen. So apparently that's what Miss Jen is going to do. So it says, Avengers Strategy Session Transcript. Present, Chairperson T'Challa and Avenger Jennifer Walters. Subject, the Undercover Hulk proposal. I'll be honest with you, Jennifer. I have grave misgivings about the operation you are proposing. Because apparently that's what T'Challa was telling her. To which she says, I know you do, T'Challa. I appreciate your trusting me, boss. You do trust me, right? He says, if the Winter Guard succeeds in apprehending you, you would be looking at weeks as a prisoner in a Red Room brainwashing facility. That could shatter almost anyone, even a seasoned Avenger, especially an Avenger who has struggled in recent months to control her own abilities. But she says, is that what I've been doing? As we can see, like, she's kind of just like freaking out and shit. So it goes on where Red Widow saying like, my child, you need one more lesson from Mother Widow, don't you? You shall have it. So T'Challa was telling her like, Jennifer, part of me can't help but feel that given the threat that's currently posed to you both physically and mentally, the smart thing would be to remove you from active duty for a time. But she just tells him like, you do that and I'll quit and face the Russians alone. So he's like, Jennifer, but she says, you can stop right there, T'Challa. You may be a great king and an awesome pope. An awesome pope? Okay. But you're not going to out-lawyer me, not on this. The Russians are planning something in Atlantis. We need to know what. And if I'm supposed to be their key to making it happen, then let me be our key to stopping it. So he just basically says, yeah, you understand what the Widow could possibly do to you in a place like the Red Room. But she just said, I understand that she thinks she can break me, which is why I have to go. So obviously it did work to an extent for a while. But anyway, Red Widow's trying to get away, saying like, initiate countdown, this is the Red Widow, resistance encountered, requesting backup, deploying the fail-safe. So this is where we see she's like injecting herself in the arm and shit. And so she's saying like, yes sir, your excellency, the Hulk blood appears to be reacting quite nicely with the super soldier serum in my system. And just in case I don't survive this, sir, I would like you to know, I've always loved you, as she's like starting to Hulk out herself and like transform and shit. So that's where we go back over to where Jennifer was telling T'Challa, that's exactly what I'm telling you, for the record. Where he was basically asking her, like, do you think you're not going to break? She's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So we go back over to these guys from the Winter Guard. Perun, who's like the Slavic storm god, and you got Chernobog, the Slavic god of darkness. And so they're actually starting to get to something where I'm assuming they're going to have him fight Thor, which was kind of something I'd been wanting to see anyway, because we see people saying, like, Thor? Home base says we've got Russian gods incoming. Thor? So he doesn't really answer just in time. But anyway, we go back over to Jennifer, who's now fighting, I think it's called the Widow Hulk. Yeah. And so we still see where Jennifer was talking to T'Challa, saying, like, I will do what I have to do to destroy the Winter Guard, to be in position to stop the Russians' plan, to save Atlantis, and to show the Red Widows of the world, the ones who think I can be broken and made into their weapon, to show them what will happen if they try. So that's when we get this, like, huge splash page of her fighting against the Widow Hulk and shit. I'm assuming they thought all of this looked really cool. But she's saying, like, to show them that they'll break at my damn hands. Every last one of them. They'll break and be buried long before the She-Hulk ever will. So he kind of, like, answers that by saying, like, I understand what this mission means to you, Jennifer, and the trying times you've been through up to this point. Thanos, the final host, the Koktati, the battle for the Phoenix, and then we can see where Thor has like now emerged from the water and he's about to like attack the other two. So that's about to be like a really, that fight right there I actually want to see. So that I will admit. Anyway, it says your increased power levels and the change in the way you manifest as a Hulk. And now the pressure of being targeted by the Winter Guard. Jennifer, I'd just like to know, before I sanction this mission, in light of all this, of everything you've endured, please tell me in the frankest terms possible, how do you feel? Do you honestly feel like yourself? So we just see where she starts apparently laughing and he's like, Jennifer, and it says that the laughing intensifies, which I guess is supposed to prove a point to us that Jennifer is just such a badass and not just like some psychotic bitch who like lapsed into uncontrollable laughter when she was asked a serious question. But that's where it leaves off for now, because then we're going to find out how this actually ends in the next issue or whatever. But yeah, that's what we had from this. Like I said, it just, I don't know what about that was supposed to inspire confidence in us and not expect us to believe that Jennifer should probably just be locked away in a cell for the rest of eternity. Because she came up with this suicidal plan that actually failed right at first, because she did actually like give in to the whole like Red Room like reprogramming and all that bullshit. At the very least, it drove her insane, at least for a little while, which when you have the powers of a Hulk is not a good thing, not even when you're planning on that being a thing. And then even like I said, when T'Challa is asking her like, do you really feel like yourself? And she starts laughing, he's like, Jennifer, and then like the laughing intensifies and then it becomes uncontrollable laughter, which is the type of thing that psychotic people do. And those are the type of people you don't want driving cars or handling scissors that are too sharp. You know what I mean? So I don't know exactly where in that was supposed to inspire confidence in me or make me believe she was somehow a badass character. If she had been like this person while she was doing all of that, I would have been like, okay, yeah, badass. But the fact that she actually gave into this or allowed it to break her, and then now she was like, oh, wait, right, yeah, I had a plan. Avengers, come and assemble. No. Like, this whole storyline has just been not just a train wreck, but an insult to the intelligence of anybody reading it. And I say that as somebody who's been reading it. Like, I feel so insulted by this entire story. And it's just, it hasn't been good. It really hasn't been. And I really have nothing else to say on it. I just kind of wanted to go through this real quick just so that we can all be up to date as far as what's going on with this. Because like I said, the next thing is supposed to be where they're going to wrap this up and then they're supposed to move on to whatever the hell the next event is going to be. So we'll find out what happens with that, but I don't know if anybody out there is still keeping up with this. If so, do feel free to let me know what you thought about this particular issue. What did you think about it? That whole thing about it apparently having been a plan all along. I don't buy it. I really don't. Even though I'm sure that's how they like wrote this story out. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't buy, well, I bought it, but I don't buy this whole setup. It's just, it's dumb. It really was. So yeah, if you read it, do feel free to let me know your thoughts. If you didn't read it, still feel free to let me know your thoughts or whatever. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then definitely make sure to like the video. Make sure you are subscribed. Share out the video if you would like to help my channel grow. I always appreciate that so very much. But if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, well then I'll see you on my next video.